Hello everybody, David Schuster here. Donald Trump traveled this week to the United Kingdom for what was billed as a state visit. But what unfolded was more of a reckoning than a royal welcome. British protesters lined the streets and projected images of Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein on the side of one of London's most famous landmarks.
If the president thought he was leaving the Jeffrey Epstein scandal behind when he left Washington, he has another thing coming. A number of demonstrators actually projected images of the convicted sex offender along with the president on the walls of Windsor Castle last night. 4 people have been arrested for that. And I can tell you, actually, the main scandal roiling British politics right now is to do with Jeffrey Epstein. The British ambassador in Washington was fired last week after it emerged, one, that he had signed that same birthday book that President Trump is alleged to have signed. He denies that, of course. And 2, a number of pretty damning emails emerged between the ambassador and Jeffrey Epstein, who he knew before he took up his post.
The next day, anti-Trump protesters filled downtown London. And in their typically measured yet razor-sharp manner, the Brits gave Trump what they said he deserved. Protesters in masks, including Benjamin Netanyahu, J.D. Vance, and Donald Trump, carried signs that said, "Murderers for Trump, Islamophobes for Trump, and make America hate again." The Trump impersonator waved his fist. Other protesters carried signs including, "Hey Starmer, corrupt billionaires aren't the answer." There were people carrying balloons portraying Trump as a baby. Some said, "Release the Epstein files." And there were several images of Trump as a fat Nazi with a German war helmet, huge belly, and a Vladimir Putin tattoo. There was Trump for prison. No to racism, no to Trump. And one of the wittiest signs among those I saw in the video, "Orange lives matter." Here's part of the report from CBS News.
Donald Trump, you can't hide!
United in anger, protesters marched through central London. Trump's visit, the one catalyst for thousands to platform many causes.
He's got rid of women's rights, the abortion rights in certain states.
I'm here because Donald Trump is a climate change denier.
He's undermining the Constitution and democracy and the rule of law in the United States.
Today's headline demonstration, further spotlighting Palestinian, Ukrainian, and migrant issues, was organized by the Stop Trump Coalition.
We feel disgusted, we feel humiliated.
Seema Sayeda is its spokesperson.
Why protest Trump's visit?
So that we can show that there's mass resistance to Trump's politics.
But it wasn't all about disagreeing with Trump's politics or policies. Many of the protests were about something far deeper, a rejection of lies, abuse of power, and moral rot at the highest level of the U.S. government. First, the lies. Donald Trump has spent this presidency, like his first, waging war on the truth. He has spun conspiracies from the White House podium and has fed his base a steady diet of alternative facts about war, peace, the economy, and even America itself. Then there's the Jeffrey Epstein scandal. Epstein is a name that haunts every corner of the elite circles that enabled him. The British know all too well the stain that Epstein left on their own royal family. So when Donald Trump's long history of associating with Epstein resurfaced amidst this state visit, it hit a nerve. The fact that Trump once spoke glowingly of Epstein, "He's a lot of fun to be with," and has even said that he likes beautiful women as much as I do. Well, even in the UK, those remarks have not gone unnoticed. Nor did the multiple allegations of sexual misconduct that continue to swirl around Donald Trump himself. And it all made for quite a split screen when Donald Trump visited the royal family about 20 miles outside of central London.
And you can see this crowd of tens of thousands of people have turned out. They have marched through central London. We're now in front of the British Parliament. You, of course, can see Big Ben behind us. And Hallie, this is a crowd that supports many causes. There are people here because they're angry about President Trump's policies on Gaza, his policies on the environment, his policies on Ukraine. But they are united today in a single message that President Trump is not welcome in Britain, and they are making themselves heard. It's very notable. President Trump's entire schedule has basically kept him outside of London, where there were mass demonstrations back in 2019 when he made his first state visit, and there are mass demonstrations happening again today.
To be fair, American presidents have been jeered, booed, and drawn protests in the UK before. But by all historical accounts, none of those U.S. presidents ever drew the visceral rejection overseas that Donald Trump has managed to inspire. That's not just politics, that's personal. And adding fuel to the fire, Donald Trump poured gasoline on the issue of free speech. Trump created more divisive headlines when, during a news conference with the British Prime Minister, Trump gloated about Disney ABC back in the United States suspending late-night comedian and host Jimmy Kimmel.
Jimmy Kimmel is not a talented person. He had very bad ratings, and they should have fired him a long time ago. So, you can call that free speech or not. He was fired for lack of talent.
No being circumspect or diplomatic or disciplined. Trump was, as he always is in the eyes of his critics, a bloviating, loudmouth wannabe tyrant. And the British people protested with intensity. What we saw this week in the UK wasn't just a Trump public relations disaster, it was the mirror held up to an American presidency that has often sought to avoid reflection. The British people showed Trump what America's allies really think, not of our country, we're better than one man, but of the man currently occupying the Oval Office. President Trump wanted a coronation. What he got was a confrontation and public ridicule, and frankly, Trump got exactly what he deserved. I hate scams, especially the ones that target seniors, and Medicare is chock full of them. Between commission-hungry brokers and thousands of confusing plan options, most seniors aren't on the best plan for them. That's why we partnered with Chapter. They're fully independent and they work for you, not the insurance companies. They can review all your options in under 20 minutes, and the average senior they help saves over $1,100 a year. And the best part, it doesn't cost you a thing. Call the number on your screen today. By the way, Donald Trump is now destroying U.S. farms as his trade war backfires.
Of the soybeans that American farmers produce, 25% currently have been going to China. And right now we have zero sold for this crop that's starting to be harvested right now. So it's a 5-alarm fire for our industry that 25% of our total sales is currently missing.
U.S. soybean farmers could conceivably find other buyers. However, to grow their crops, U.S. farmers rely on countless foreign-made products, including fertilizers, pesticides, seeds, and farming equipment. All of those inputs made outside of the United States cost farmers more now because of the Trump tariffs. The end result is that U.S. soybeans are more expensive than soybeans from U.S. competitors.
Right now, we are not price competitive with Brazil due to the retaliatory tariffs that are in place. Our prices are about 20% higher, and that means that the Chinese are going elsewhere because they can find a better value.
Check out that video at the link below. I'm David Schuster. Thanks for joining us.